I have some pretty funny discussions with Mr. Benny Nguyen, and he's adamant that touch and goes are the keys to why he hit 210 at 8.5 last Saturday. It was good, but was it because of touch and goes, or was it because of?
I don't know. Like if you delve into the psychology of like lifting,
the
buy-in, exactly. Buy-in is so big. Like if you can get an athlete to believe that this is working, it could work. Like really, like it's impressive.
Hi guys, welcome back to episode 11 of The Hunt. Today we are joined by absolute royalty of Western Sydney. We have Alex Fomin, Ranier Cortez, and Thien all the way from Sydney, as I already mentioned. But how's the trip down, boys?
Yeah, pretty cruisy. Good weather, easy drive, thanks to Raz.
Yeah, not much traffic, so it was alright, eh?
Yeah, thanks for driving, Raz.
No worries, bro.
Easy, very good. And I'm also joined by my co-host, Benny Roberts, raining all the way from Lakeland's Warners Bay.
That's it, yeah.
Welcome,
long
mate.
commute, but it's alright.
Very good. So yeah, we're maxing out the weight rating of this couch in the middle here. A couple of heavies.
I don't know how long it's gonna last.
No, that's it. All right. Well, it's actually your first time on the podcast, all three of you. Hey. Yeah.
Yeah, first time, first
good.
podcast. Yeah.
Well, what a place to do it. Hey. No?
Yeah.
Sure.
So
Big honour.
Big honour. We're going to kick things off with just intros and origins because a lot of big things when it comes to listening to podcasts and people who have never been on before, they don't know who the hell you are because we've got audience obviously everywhere. So I think we'll start from left to right. Okay. Good looking to least good looking. And we'll go.
Your left or this left?
And we'll just hear, mate. Basically, like where you're from, like how you started. Obviously, like you're a lifter and a coach yourself. I guess just right from the beginning.
Yeah. So I'm Alex, and I started in the powerlifting scene in like 2018, 2019. I first got a coach in Feb 2019. So it was Thien, and that's around nearly 4 years ago now. Yeah. So and he's been my only coach. And then 2 years later, I started working for him. So since 2021, around early to mid 2021 through COVID, I started working as then Team T coach, which is now Earnest.
Yep.
But yeah, so I started as an athlete in 2019 and still competing.
Yeah, cool.
And then as a coach in 2021. And then
it's a typical story, hey, where you start out as a client and then you kind of make that transition to then eventually become a coach.
Yeah.
But you also study on the side as well, don't you?
Yeah. I've finished my bachelor's of sports science at UCID, and then I'm doing my master's of physio now. I'm in my last year.
Well done.
So
and so it's to master's a 2-year extension on your.
Yeah. I'm in my last year now.
Yeah. Do you know if you're going to practice or not?
Of course, yeah.
Of course.
So plan is to keep coaching though, because. Yeah.
No, that's good. And is your roster full at the moment, or?
I got 2 or 3 spots, but I don't want to fill
always
up.
2 or 3 spots.
No, because like that's the classic 2-3 spots, but no, I don't want to fill it up too much because placement's going to be pretty hectic, and I don't want to underservice anyone or want to make sure it's still providing quality service.
Do you know where you're going for your placement just yet?
Yeah, I'm going Orange.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Is it what's the gym down there? One Strength?
One Strength, yeah.
Yeah. No, we've got a few guys on placement there for primary teaching and things like that.
Yeah.
But obviously, like at least you can still lift in a powerlifting specific gym. I think that's the main thing, eh?
100%.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, down the line.
Pass on to Raz.
Raz.
Hey, I'm Raz. Unlike these boys, I work under output, and I just tag along for the ride. So
shout out output.
Shout out to output. Sold out 8 minutes, by the way. But yeah, I started powerlifting at the end of high school actually. I had no coach, no idea, but I just started lifting as a 17-year-old kid, and I pretty much made my way by myself to like 2019. Won nationals as a sub-junior, and then in 2020 I got my first coach, and yeah, since then been representing
Say it.
Australia.
Yeah.
Represented Australia. So did Alex. Alex didn't say that too.
Yeah. Humble.
Thien also represented
It's a
Australia
humble
as well.
couch, actually.
We don't talk about that.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about it. But yeah, my powerlifting journey has pretty much been over the course of like 4 or 5 years.
Yep.
And yeah, still coaching, and yeah, that's about it.
So you originally started out as a PT, right?
Yeah, I was working face to face at a gym.
Yep.
And pretty much got all my clients from there, but they moved online last year.
And you got no face to face at all?
No face to face right now, but I mean the option's always open. Maybe sometime down the line.
Yeah.
but pretty much all online right now.
Yep. And right now, other than the APU coaching course, are you studying anything?
I'm doing a few mentorships, but not right now. No.
Right now. Yeah, cool. Awesome. That's good. Alrighty. And last but not least,
Last but not least,
Mr. Thien.
hi, my name's Thien. I've been powerlifting since 2018, so I did my first comp May 2018, and I've been coaching since 2019. Alex was my first client, so I've been coaching for 4 years now. I did a double degree at uni, so I studied IT and accounting, which I still currently work in the tech space, so doing that full time alongside with coaching as well, full time as well. So scheduling can be pretty hectic. Haven't been competing as of yet because I've been injured, but hopefully competing this year because injuries slowly starting to clear up and knees starting to feel better. So yeah, coaching, working full time, athlete as well. Yeah.
No, that's good. Yeah, I think we'll dive into all the things like balancing work life and obviously injuries and stuff like that, because we've all had our fair share of injuries and whatnot. And yeah, given that Alex is studying full time, you're still working full time alongside full time coaching.
Yeah.
Updating Google Sheets, stuff like that. There's a lot that goes into it. So I think a lot of people will find value in listening and hearing exactly like how I guess you become so prepared to manage your daily life. Yeah. No, very good. All right. We'll move on to our first question. So Benny, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, for sure. So it's kind of like all of you guys have come from different backgrounds, like with education and work and everything like that. So just individually, how you actually came about to become like an online or face-to-face coach, like within the powerlifting space. So obviously you expanded before, Alex, saying that you were a client of Thien's, and then you've come on board with Earnest, or with Team T, and then with Earnest. But like, how did that come about, and was it just a byproduct of your studies?
I think because I was Thien's first client, and coach for him. Yeah. I think it was kind of in the works for a long time, but because I had been coaching people like, you know how as you start out as a coach, you coach people for like free and you're just kind of giving them advice and you start with your basic programming and stuff. Yep. And I was interested in coaching for a long time, but I wasn't like at that experience level or confidence level where I felt confident charging for services. So I was just still building experience. And then I was talking to Thien and we kind of had a plan to start coaching. But first I did some mentorships and stuff. So I did Will Berkman. So I went back when Will was on the scene. I did that mentorship when it came out. And I did Alex Effer as well, his biomechanics one. And along with my studies, and I was like, okay, I feel like I'm fairly confident. And then I started in 2021. But yeah, I think it was in the works for a long time. Yeah, for sure. And like matured a lot since when I first started lifting and just having, like thinking you know what you're doing, but really you don't know what you're doing. But yeah, it's just been a long time, but hasn't felt like very long.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's cool.
Pass to Thien as well.
Yeah, go for Thien. Yeah. And we'll come back to Raz.
I think for me, I came into powerlifting a bit differently since that wasn't really my academic background like Alex. I think for me, it's because I was self-coaching myself for quite a while throughout 2019. And I felt like in terms of what we're currently doing in Australia, we're quite behind in terms of what everyone else was doing, like in the US and stuff. And I felt that I needed to look elsewhere to kind of expand my knowledge in terms of coaching and powerlifting to get myself stronger, really. Because throughout the years of 2018, 2019, when I wasn't injured, I put 100 kilos on my total, like easily. I was like, why isn't everyone else able to do this, right? So I think from there, it kind of stemmed my interest in coaching other people and kind of really helping them meet their goals and achieve what they want to achieve in terms of competitive powerlifting. And that's when Alex reached out to me. So in a way, it was kind of how do you say that word? Serendipitous. That's going to be clipped. But yeah, so once Alex reached out to me, I started coaching from there. And from there, I think it was just word of mouth. Because you knew me since back then. I never really kind of advertised my services. Yeah.
You were a nobody.
Yeah, exactly. I was nobody. Didn't really post any stories or I have one spot free, the classic, or reach out to me, one spot free kind of thing. It was kind of, I just showed up, did the hard work, and people just started taking notice of what my athletes were doing and then reached out to me from there. Yeah.
Bit of an off question, but did you ever think that Alex would be the athlete he would be today back then?
I think mindset wise, yes. because he always had that drive to kind of be competitive, right? And I think I always believed in him in terms of where he wanted to be. It was just a matter of time for him to get there. Like a lot of my athletes are from the ground up. They never have came to me already strong. Like for example, Alex, you take a look at Jesse as well. 3 years ago, he was a completely different person. And then last year he came 5th at Nats. So everything is like from the ground up.
On a bad day.
Yeah, on a bad day as well. Hashtag. But yeah, man, I think it's just about believing in all your athletes in general. Like, because from my team, everything's from the ground up. Like hashtag from the trenches. As you would have seen us kind of tag leading up to Nats. It's just building from the ground up.
From your nightmares.
Sleep paralysis, demon, mate.
I think I'm big on that as well. Like ground up, sort of like taking care of the people who are your day oneers, no matter if they just started the day one of powerlifting journey or they are just starting with you with being your first coach, for example. So we have a massive emphasis on juniors and I guess like getting people into the gym from a young age to kind of grow them into the athletes that we know that can be so successful with the things that we've learned from overseas.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that segues into my next question. I think what has been the biggest difference that you've seen from say 2018 till now in powerlifting Australia?
In terms of what I've noticed, because our pathways were pretty similar in terms of what mentorships we were doing in terms of upskilling ourselves, but throughout 2017, 2018, a lot of Australia was still, I wouldn't say stuck because it's pretty rude, but a lot of linear progression, a lot of percentage-based programming. But that was kind of the time where I was starting to look out and I found emerging strategies, Mike Teixeira, similar to yourself, and that kind of opened and gave me a new lens to kind of look at powerlifting programming where everything was about predictability, keeping things stagnant, controlling all the variables in your programming and making sure that your primary lifts show up on a specific date, which is like competition day. So I think I was starting to push that early 2018, 2019, and it only really grew popular RPE training in Australia around 21, 20, and now it's really starting to pick up speed as well. So those are kind of trends I've started been noticing.
What about you, Raz? What trends have you noticed in the shift since you've started powerlifting coaching till now?
I think when I started powerlifting, Westside vs. the World came out, and a lot of people.
Actually, wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, it wasn't. I was like
2 years ago?
2019, 2018.
Were you back in raps and?
No, I wasn't back in
Chains,
raps. I didn't really understand that part, but like I just saw a lot of people just doing a lot of chain stuff. And a lot of like slingshot banded stuff. Thinking that it will try carry over to their main lifts, but I don't think for raw lifting it ever did. So I think there's been like an eventual trend where everyone started shifting away from that because they started realizing if you want to get good at something, you have to do it very specifically and do it all the time. Especially if you're not like an enhanced person, like you have to, like the skill is, you have to repeat it all the time. And you can't just get a stimulus from just randomly doing stuff. But that's my main shift, and also RPE training has also been like a very big focus, and everyone kind of understands it now. So we're picking up the pace in that.
I think a few things have remained kind of similar since when we started. I think like one of the big blocks that we like first started to do when I was with Thien is just figuring out like it's changed over time, but how long it took me to peak up for competition, which is something I still look in for all my athletes, is just roughly how long they can handle a block with a given intensity and a given volume stimulus given to the athlete, which I think is like really important, not just giving them like the standard 4 weeks just because it like fits your billing cycle or whatever, but like just giving them something that's repeatable and like actually gives like a response that you kind of expect, like, oh, if I repeat this cycle I'm going to get +5 on this certain person's squat, and it's like, okay, I know I can get that, so we're going to keep that the same, and can we try and get something similar in terms of response for their bench and their deadlift, because I think that's what we're trying to do as coaches, is trying to get predictability. So in terms of that, I think that one of the main things we started with, which we're still doing today, is just figuring out their time to peak and getting those macro cycles that are like the right length for the athlete. Keep in mind injuries, susceptibility, and everything like that. Besides that, from when we started, I think we probably utilized RP less in like our first block. Like looking back, we we're like pretty much doing like linear progression, and like worked really well because like I was a noob. But
Anything works when you're new.
yeah, pretty much. And like, I was like, wow, this is crazy. Like, I remember I started and I was like on like a 220 deadlift stock at like 100 kilos body weight, and then suddenly I was like on 230. I'm like, this is crazy.
That's funny.
It
That's good. I think one of the next questions I want to ask is, when you're communicating to one of your like trenches lifters, the people who just first started with you, and you eventually find that thing that works, but there's still a lifter that kind of like wants to explore and wants to do different things every mesocycle. How do you blokes communicate with those clients to say, look, this is what's working, it's continually working, let's continue doing it despite how monotonous is it? How do you communicate that?
That's a good question. I think that's hard because at the same time, like if it's working, you want to explain that this is like good, and we don't want to mess too much with the recipe because it could have bad results. But at the same time, you could probably give novelty to a program with stuff that's like not as important. Like you could just change an accessory and like they could be like, oh wow, this is novel, but really it's like a lower intensity accessory anyways that didn't have too much.
Give us an example.
Like for example, you're doing lat pull downs and like, oh, like I've been doing the same stuff for like 3 blocks. It's like, okay, I'm going to give you some pull-ups or a single arm. I'm going to give you a single arm. It's like, well, okay, like it's just giving them a little bit of novelty and enjoyment in the program, which is, and you're not actually going to have like fatigue carry over to your primary lifts because you changed your lat pull down to a single arm lat pull down.
Super low stimulus.
Yeah, it's good. And I think, well, like personally, I want my athletes to enjoy their program. Like obviously progression is number one, but then enjoyability can also enhance progression. So if you have both, then you're cheering. Yeah.
I have some pretty funny discussions with Mr. Benny Newen, and he's adamant that touch and goes are the keys to why he hit 210 at 8.5 last Saturday. It was good, but was it because of touch and goes, or was it because of?
I don't know. Like if you delve into the psychology of like lifting,
The
buy-in,
Yeah.
exactly. Buy-in is so big. Like if you can get an athlete to believe that this is working, like it could work. Like really, like it's important.
Crazy. Do either of you guys have any sort of like discussions you have with your athletes to see or get them to understand, look, what you're doing is right?
Yeah, I think it comes down to, at the end of the day, it's what they want out of the program, like what their goals are in powerlifting, right? Like if they want to be the best or if they really want to improve, you just got to explain to them that, look, this is what's working for you, right? And like if we change that, it might change the rate of progression, for example. So I think it's about open communication and making sure that they understand that what you're trying to do for them is making the rate of progression as best as it can, right? Because if like it's all good to kind of have fun as well, but then at the end of the day, like we said, it's just about finding what works for them. And if they're not enjoying, like we got to cut that out. I'm rambling on too much.
Leave it in, Hamish.
Rambling too much. But yeah, it's about open communication and making them realize that if they want to progress at a certain rate, we got to keep the blocks very similar, because if we're changing too much, then it might not yield the same rate of gain, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I think what brought on this kind of like discussion was just how, I guess, time-stamped the powerlifting programming scene has been in Australia for so long. Like I agree with everything you guys have said, but it's even funny to dive even deeper because remember we had Thou Shall Not Be Spoken Of, Mr. Wilkes. 2017, he had the biggest influence on powerlifting in Australia because of the fact that he ran the coaching course. Yeah. He taught a lot of coaches in Australia who were at the top of the game, i.e. John Paul Cowkey, and then obviously like he coached Alex Hayes, he coached Will Berkman, he coached like a lot of people that were also coaches of that coach. Like I think Jamie Smith was thrown in there a couple of times too.
Yeah, I think that's why back then everyone was doing something very similar. Same. It's all percentage based, all working down, starting really high volume. Yeah. And then dialing down to like 2x2 openers.
And that's why I think we're on such a lag compared to the other countries around the world. Yeah. Like, it's so good for our future generation being the sub juniors and juniors that are coming through because they have access to years of, I guess, what's like fossicking through the scene of powerlifting programming when really we're just starting to get rolling. Yeah, definitely. I think in general, just everyone has a better idea of powerlifting programming right now because 100%. We're all starting to look outside of Australia. Yeah. Because we're all realizing that everyone else outside of Australia is so good, and then that kind of leads us to wonder what they're doing differently to us. Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
Benny?
That's it. So moving on, anyways. talking about it just before, like injury histories between all of you blokes as well, because we're aware that you guys have been battling some stuff. So like your approaches to overcoming that and anything that's been a key ingredient.
Key ingredient. Well,
Yeah, it's
many
a
people know
mindset.
that's just a mindset, mate. So I've been dealing with this weird knee quad injury similar to Potsy
Pretty much
since exact same issue, exact same maybe cause, who knows, since September 2019. And like it was pretty hard for me because I was coming off like one of my best comps in August, which I self-coached myself into. And then right after that, kind of getting injured, kind of mentally was pretty draining because that was my identity, kind of really wanting to be competitive under 66. And like once that was kind of taken away, I was like, oh, what do I do now? So I think that's when I started to pour everything into coaching. But in terms of the actual question, how I was dealing with it, I was pretty lost like for the first 3 years because I saw everyone, like all the physios, all the EPs,
And everyone
everyone
was doing that.
Yeah, and like no one really knew what it was, right? But at the end of the day, I found Steve Denovi, shout out, my coach, our coach, Raz as well. And all we did was control the overall volume and intensity throughout the week for my squats. And that seemed to clear up a lot of the pain, actually. So he made a post about my case study, actually, on his page. Yeah. So I'm really doing very low volume in terms of my squat and deadlift. So I'm only doing 5 sets of squats a week. So that's like 2 sets of SSB and then 3 ramping sets of comp squats. And then only 5 sets of deadlifts. So overall really low work, but higher intensity. So I can still get that stimulus in. Yeah,
Right.
It's cool.
Talk about this.
I think
You're battling something now, aren't you, Raz?
Yeah, I'm like sort of battling through a hamstring injury that's been lingering on for a while. But yeah, obviously I finished prep with it and it was painful, but I still managed. But obviously, like after comms, I was pretty down in the dumps. I'm like, oh damn, I don't know what I can do. But Thien messaged me something like 2 weeks ago, saying like, oh, it doesn't matter about like where you were before. It's all about what can you do now. And that really stuck with me ever since he messaged that, because I'm like, all right, cool. I can worry about what happened or what I was like forever, but like it's more so what can you do currently to overcome it. So I think staying in the present for athletes who are going through injuries is pretty important. And that way they're like, if they look too far behind, obviously they'll bring some sort of like negativity. And then if you look too far forward, I also think that also brings negativity because it's like a lot of uncertainty. Yeah, it also brings a lot of anxiety. So it's like, what can you do now? Look at the variables that you can control and control them as hard as you can. And I think that's my mindset moving forward. And I think I've seen a lot of progress since adopting that.
Fuck yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it's a really good answer from Raz, I think, in regards to mindset around injuries. I think I've been dealing with like persistent injuries more or less my entire powerlifting journey. I'm just a very injury susceptible person, and so it's
flower, mate. You're fragile.
Yeah,
fragile.
very fragile. So, like I think my first big injury was actually before powerlifting, and which has still kind of come back to haunt me. Like in like 2016, I used to run track, so I was doing athletics, like New South Wales State Athletics.
What event?
200 meter.
How quick?
It was gonna be quick, but I tore my hamstring like a grade 2, and like I couldn't walk like the day after. Like it was pretty severe bruising and pain, and like from then I've noticed like just as a lifter, I can't handle too much intensity, or I get injured. Just basically like it's not really like mental or anything. It's just my body will literally just tear and break. So I think a lot of it when it comes to mindset is just kind of recognizing those trends as well. So like I always want to push, but then I know if I push in a way that's not smart, I'm going to get broken. So I think like even last block, I had a bit of I retore that hamstring, but it went away quite quick. But the problem I was just pushing my secondary day and my primary day on deadlift at the same time, and then I just got hurt. So
it was post-holiday as well.
Yeah, post-holiday as well. I just wanted to push and get back to where I was. I think it's the reason why like my injury susceptibility is the reason why I wanted to pursue physio as well, because I think I've gotten to a spot where I've become pretty good, at least for myself, at dealing with like injuries that come up, where it's just like, I think number one is to not let the emotional response be too bad, too high. So because if you let the emotional response get you down the dumps and you just stop moving, you get upset, you just stop your session just there, a lot of the times is like that inflammation is going to be worse, that time to heal is going to be worse. But some of the best
physiology of it is brought on faster.
Some of the best turnarounds I've had from injury is the second that I've hurt myself, I've just had a minute to just calm down and then just start improving my movement options. So literally just improving my ROM. So I think one time I did my back quite badly, where like in September last year, 2021, September 2021, I did my back really bad, like really, really bad during COVID. And I couldn't deadlift heavy for like nearly 5 months. So, and after basically like I re-injured it in December because I was on the way back up, and straight after like I could barely stand up, but then Thien got me to do some basic movement stuff, just open up my range, and that day I could like walk again and just like move. And I think it's just really doing what you can, like Rai said, doing what you can and just taking it day by day and improving every day. And a big thing is not getting too cocky with your week to week jumps, especially if you're injured, because you want to push like everyone else is pushing. But you need to keep in mind the main goal is to have less pain every week. Because if you're increasing the weight, but the pain is also increasing, you're going to be very quickly find that you're injured again.
Spinning your wheels.
Definitely.
Because obviously we're all in quite competitive weight classes. I think that's pretty cool to say now these days in powerlifting with Australia. How do you deal with seeing, say for example, someone else in your weight class just motoring along, probably pain-free, I don't know, but they're just doing better than what you are? How do you psychologically deal with that when you're in the dumps with your own training? Because say for example, you've got a niggle that just flared up.
That's a good question, because I think that's probably why I push so hard. I hurt myself.
That's sport, right?
It's you're seeing someone else doing one, you're like, all right, watch this. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it too.
For Ted.
Yeah, and I think that's a big part of it. That reason why you push so hard, but you can't afford to push that hard all the time. I think a lot of athletes, like they're going up to comp prep and they can really afford to avoid, like mentally avoid the niggles. Just kind of just push through it. But the second that comp's done and they're on that post comp block, they still have that same mindset where they just want to keep pushing, but their body does not have that same reserve of recovery. Like you are still having that same mindset of push, but then post block, like post comp, it's just like, that's where you find a lot of the injuries really start to show up.
It works till it stops working.
So I think, it's important. Like you can have that competitive drive looking at other athletes, but you just need to be present in your own training and think about what the whole purpose is. Like if you're looking at, what everyone else is doing, you're just going to forget the purpose of your own training, and you're just going to get lost in that, and you're actually going to, harm your own progression at the end of the day. You can only do so much for yourself. And just looking at what everyone else is doing is not really going to help at the end of the day.
For a bit more of a spectrum, I guess, to round out the question. The way I look at it, you got people like Alex Hayes at one end of the spectrum. The bloke does not get hurt, does not get injured, gets tight here and there, but he every comp consistently turns up and consistently puts kilos on his total. And then you got people that like put 50 or 80 or whatever, like some astronomical number on their total, but you always see those people get hurt, and it just goes to show that like it's okay to be a little bit more reserved in your approach, in your training and in your competition progression, because and I know that people want to make the most gains they possibly can as fast as they can, but say for example you got a state qualifier coming up, you don't have to, like, you can go hard to figure out if a stimulus works, but you don't have to go that hard to, I guess, be at the risk of hurting yourself. So I think the progression model actually helps us in the sense of like what we can make a priority comp, a medium priority comp, a high priority comp. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I really agree. I think, just wanting to push all the time for the next comp because, you want to beat someone else or whatever. It just doesn't really matter.
The moment will come.
Doesn't really matter until you're at like a states or a nationals, right? You're actually battling for that podium. That's when it actually matters, not on Instagram saying I beat you by 1 dot point. You know what I'm talking about. Shout out to wellness department, by the way. I think when it actually matters is that's when you got to push. So I think in response to my own training, just taking my time and actually building up a solid base because I don't want to get hurt again. So,
100%.
yeah. And I'll pass on to someone else to answer
Yeah,
about that.
yeah, because Thien, I guess you've seen the development of the 66s, mate, and it's getting to that point where it's starting to get pretty good.
Yeah, so under 6'6" over the past 3 years have been very competitive. Got those three top guys, Yuki, Danny, Andrew, and obviously like sitting back in the dark sucks a lot. Kind of circling back to the other question that you asked before, how I kind of deal with that mentally. I think if anything, it motivates me more to kind of stay the course in terms of what I'm doing is working to getting me feel better each and every session. And I just know that there's going to be light at the end of the tunnel kind of thing. So I know that if they can do it, I'll be able to do that as well later down the line when I'm healthy. So, and it's just a matter of time, you know what I mean? And in terms of, what did you mention about the sandbagging the state qualifiers or something?
So low priority, high, medium priority, high priority competitions.
So spinning that back on you, like how would you be able to set the exertion like leading into comp? Would you say like at 8, third attempt, at 9, or how would you know a certain stimulus is kind of working?
So from personal experience, I know that I suck under pressure. I do. It showed at Nationals last year.
Mentally draining?
Yeah, like I just didn't feel like I peaked because I was just so emotionally driven, and that's not good for me. Like I need to be like quite reserved. And I'm not saying that my lifters have to be the same as me, but I know like, look, we need to explore these extremities of like how you should be approaching or coming into this competition to see if it is better for you, or maybe you do need that kind of like, I guess, climb in intensity, like psychologically into the competition. But I've seen from time to time again, lifters who are always at that top level of intensity, like psychologically going to every single meet, and it's really hard to get them back down to earth post comp to get back into the trenches and start working again.
Yeah.
I think the cycle of momentum, it just needs to kind of, I guess, similar to programming, start at a like minimal effective volume of, I guess, how you're getting aroused for each competition as priority works on, and then work your way up until you're at that threshold.
Yeah, well, I did something very similar with Lisa leading into junior states last year, where we had to do a qualifier, and it was like 6 weeks out. So I would say it was a medium priority meet. So obviously we weren't going to send it. So the plan going into that was just having us test our tapering and peaking strategies and really setting those third attempts, just like training, like at 8, third attempt. So her first and second attempts were pretty much third and second last warm up, like we would normally do in training, and then just going 9 for 9, solidifying that total and seeing if that taper actually worked. And that's why her tapers have been like very consistent.
And also there's no interruption in your training cycle as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So you finish the state qualifier, fucking you're
straight back into training the next day.
Yeah.
But I usually do that for most of my athletes regardless. Like
that's good.
I find a lot of people just detrain very quickly, especially if they take 1 week off.
This wouldn't be a really hot take. It's a take.
We love hot takes.
We love hot takes.
Huh?
We can add this to the library.
Non-cut out.
No, but this one's more like I'm starting to get to the point like when like especially with females where like they do their last heavy single in training or whatever, and you just replicate that on the platform. And a lot of people are expecting to just be like peaked and like somehow plus 10, which just is not common, particularly with higher level athletes, because I feel like the lower level athletes do get that response because of arousal. What's your take on that?
I think it depends as well how the programming is structured. So if you're hitting like a really heavy single at 10, like 2 weeks out, 1 week out, for example, you shouldn't hope to add like 10 kilos on top of that at competition day. But if you're hitting like sub max at 7, at 8, and then really running a no taper kind of strategy right into comp, then you can kind of gauge where the top end will be on competition day and kind of plan around that. So for example, if you're hitting at 8 single, say 200 squat, and the week before you hit like 195, right? You can kind of hope 210 to be top end, for example, if you hit like a 205 second attempt, then 210 third attempt, for example. So yeah, I think it just depends on how the programming is structured throughout the block. Because I know with Lisa, she's a bit different in terms of both her deadlift days show up quite similarly. So I know that if her primary deadlift day, which is day 2, is like at 9, 1 week out, I know that she'll add like 10 kilos on top of that on competition day easily with a taper.
Speaking of that performance showing up similarly, do you think that's only because of the fact she's really efficient?
Yes, yeah, definitely. But I think efficiency and technique both are good on her, and that's why both deadlift days show up. But also I think for her, she needs that intensity on both days as well, because I found that once we take out that secondary intensity, she comes into that primary day pretty detrained.
Right.
Yeah. So she's very intensity and volume sensitive.
Yeah. See, like I'm a little bit similar where like it simplifies the programming a little bit when you become an efficient lifter at one lift, for example. So Lisa's deadlift, obviously being really efficient, it reduces the noise a little bit and makes the programming simpler. So as you get more and more advanced, the program becomes a little bit easier, right?
Much simpler, yes, and easily like predictable as well. Because then you can just periodize things because you know a certain rep range is going to work for the athlete. So for example, deadlift, we can work within a range from 7 to 9, for example. So we can start off 9s, go to 8s and 7s, and then kind of rinse and repeat that over and over again, and not having to change too much.
So that would be like a macro, right? So
yeah, one macro cycle, exactly. Because if we know we dip under 7s, for example,
it's too heavy.
It's too heavy, intensity is too high, and then she's going to show up detrained for the primary day,
What
for
happens if
example,
intensity
as
is too high, Alex? You get fucking sore.
Injured.
You get sore as fuck.
Yeah,
that's
like
good.
with Alex, he can't handle too much intensity on both days as well. That's why he keeps getting injured. Yeah.
No, that's good. I think we answered a lot of probably questions people didn't really ask in the viewers.
For sure. Yeah,
that's
that's
good.
it.
All right, next question for us, man, is how have you guys applied the mentorships and courses that you've done in then being able to use them in your coaching practice? So in other words, give us what your best things you've learned in those coaching courses or mentorships which you've done.
Oh, I think for me personally, Mike T and RTS kind of changed everything for me.
100%.
Yeah, I think it just opened my eyes to what was possible with programming, predictability, keeping everything consistent.
Time to peak.
Yeah, that's a big one. But in general, I don't buy in too hard when doing mentorships. I just take what I need and kind of view it as a different lens each time I'm doing mentorships, and really kind of just another tool in the toolbox that I can use for my own athletes, for example. Yeah,
I agree. And there's not many mentorships or courses out there that I would do anymore. And I message you all the time. I'm like, mate, what's out there at the moment? What should we do? Because like, I'm one of those sort of people, if I'm not doing anything business or coaching related, I just need to be doing something.
Yeah.
And what I've actually done lately is just message someone who I want to learn more from, and I just book a 1 hour call with them. It will cost maybe $250, $300 for an hour. Yeah. But I get to get the best pieces from that coach from what I want to learn from them. So for example, I had a call with Thomas Lilly last week, and it was literally just about business. I just wanted to know where he got the zero trimming and like equipment that he has at his gym, but also on top of that, systems in place for the next move that we want to have at Hunter Performance Center. So I think, is there anything out there that you see in the current, I guess, powerlifting world that you would want to learn from, or someone who's doing something really good that you think, oh, that's quite interesting? Or are you currently the peak of where you are?
I wouldn't say I'm at the peak of what I am, because if anyone says that, you're never gonna stop like
100%.
learning, and then that's when you kind of start falling behind.
Yep.
But in general, I feel like there's always something that you can learn from someone else, like a different point of view that you might have missed, for example. But in terms of mentorships, nothing that I've noticed yet. I'm not too sure, to be honest, Alex.
Well, just recently subscribed to that Powerlifting Now came out. That's
Really
shout out to
niche.
Powerlifting Now.
Really niche.
Yeah, that's been good actually. That content's like really widely available, and I think you got some really high level coaches with a lot of clout and a lot of like really clout, like good clout, and like, you know, they coach like the best lifters in the world, and so their information has been really good.
Really valuable.
Yeah, it's monthly and stuff like that. I think the Yard Cap mentorship was good as well.
Yep.
Brad and Sean
Collins.
Sean Collins run that as well, which was informative as well. And then I think a big part of it is just putting it into practice, because once you have that theoretical base, just actually applying it to your athletes and seeing how it works when you actually put it into practice. And once again, like, it all just comes down to like trial and error with the athletes, and just noticing the trends and actually being able to look at it objectively from the outside, and just noticing what's working, what isn't, and just titrating in and out what needs to be changed
Yeah.
to get the performance you want.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think mentorships have been good, like really building that base. But like at the moment, I'm not doing any mentorships, just been
You're
studying.
masters, brother.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is
Origins and insertions.
yeah, just physio things.
Very good. And what about you, Raz?
Yeah.
What mentorships have you done that you've taken away and actually applied and used?
A lot of the business mentorships, like the business side of coaching, is actually pretty useful.
Not shape changes?
That was actually pretty useful too, I guess. I did that with you, and obviously that's just another tool in the toolbox.
Yeah.
I see it as just getting what parts of the mentorship apply to my sort of practice. And sometimes there's actually conflicting information between each mentorship. So you kind of just decipher your own opinion and you see things from your own lens.
Yep, 100%.
I think that enhances your point of view of coaching. And just trying to apply that best to my athletes as possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, always things are always changing. You know, the seasons are always changing, as Thien says.
Yeah. You never...
The winds of change.
Yeah. The winds change every 2 years or something. But I always find that, like, when you do a mentorship or course, you don't become that thing. Like, you just take what you need and then just apply it to complement what you already have. So, like, for example, man, when I did the classroom, everyone was on a development cycle, you know, and that was something that was like,
Yeah, you loved RTS.
I loved RTS. Like, I got fucking strong on RTS, but the problem was it was too heavy.
Yeah.
It was just
Too
intense.
much.
Yeah, too much. And like, it was that simple. And but this is the thing, like, and this is when we talk about the change of winds. I did something where, like, I wasn't managing intensity very well, and then therefore I built really poor ways to lift to avoid pain. So compensations, for example, and that's how I guess the winds changed in like 2020, where we got stuck in the biomechanics and all that sort of stuff. Learned a shit ton that complements the coaching model that we have now here at HPC.
Yeah.
And then now we're back full circle into the position where we're now doing what's similar to the emerging strategies is
everything
promoting.
comes full circle. But I think for you, it's kind of been helpful in terms of now you have like a lot of tools in your toolbox to
Yeah.
kind of use for your athletes. You're not fully bought into one system,
No.
but you've used all the tools over the years, over all the mentorships to kind of formulate your own kind of system. And
Yeah.
that's kind of working right now for you as well.
100%. And one thing I do want to do, and what was it? In a corrupted strength. They had Brad. They had
The Corrupted Strength Summit.
Summit. That's
Yeah,
something I would
shout out.
Yeah, shout out to the boys. I'm sure they're watching. We want to do something like that here at HPC, and would love obviously you guys to get on board for that, because there is so much information out there, but like a lot of stuff that you can like Raz said, or Alex, one of you guys said, cipher through and pick out the best things that actually have worked for you.
Yeah.
So I think given the experience that we all have collectively on the, like, between us, I think we've got about nearly 20 years experience like in the industry together. Like, that's something that I think would be very valuable to those newer coaches or athletes that want to learn more about the sport that we love so much.
Yeah, I think in general, like, that's why powerlifting now kind of started, because all the newer kind of athletes, they want kind of things now. And like, no one's really reading anymore. So
No.
that's why streaming services are so high in demand. Like, people can just watch it wherever they want, kind of listen to it on the drive and stuff, which is what we were kind of doing on the drive here, listening to your podcast.
Yep.
Shout out.
Shout out to D-Shell.
Shout out D-Show.
Shout out to D-Shell spreadsheets. Fucking
Yeah,
hell.
so moving forward as well, like you kind of just touched on, well, Aiden did anyway, like some stuff he wants to do in the future with the HPC brand and everything. So obviously you guys transitioning to Earnest recently. So what's that look like for you guys individually and the brand? And then Raz as well, what does your future look like in output as well?
Yeah, I think for me, because right now I'm still working full time, I think this year it was definitely a goal of mine to kind of take Earnest full time. And it's all about figuring out how to fully transition to that.
Yep.
It's not going to happen instantly, obviously. It will be a slow transition. But I think by the end of the year, the goal for me is to push Earnest full time and really be a full time powerlifting coach.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking on the behalf of output, but yeah, just pretty much growing the roster.
Yep.
I think that's going to be really good. Another cool thing about output is all of our lifters are not many lifters are doing novices anymore, which means
sweet.
we've pretty much graduated them from that phase, and they're all pretty much looking to do sanctioned comps, which is really good to see. But obviously, getting more novices into the sport will be really huge.
Yep.
And yeah, just continue building, growing, learning.
Yep.
That's the main goal for me.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I guess first goal is to graduate, and then I want to solidify the roster I have now. So I think and build with Earnest. So like I'm looking to grow like maybe like the whole year, or maybe only like 2 or 3 extra people. Like I really just want to like I don't want to like push myself. I don't want to push myself. Yeah, I'll cap myself because like I think it's really important for me that I want to give the people that I have like right now, like not like I want to give them the best that I can and build them up from the ground up, and take them to comps and everything. But yeah, continue with Earnest. So after I finish, like I'm not going to do full-time physio. I'm going to do it part-time because I want to keep pushing Earnest because I think like coaching is very fulfilling as a job. And I think we all agree on that. So I want to continue doing that.
It's
definitely.
good. Would it be something you like niche into, like in your physio like practice, like working with strength sport athletes as well? Would that be like what you want to work towards?
Yeah. I think ideally.
Yeah.
Ideally, yeah. I think I have a lot more to learn though in the physio space as I haven't done my placements yet. But I think ideally that would be the future.
Yeah, for sure.
Question for Thien: where do you see Earnest Performance Systems in 3 to 5 years' time?
That's a hard question. Because even this year, I don't see my roster growing too big. Like right now, I'm coaching 20 athletes, 21 athletes.
So when you say that, that tells me that you want to invest time into them, right? And probably knock
100%.
Take out some classes.
Like I think for me personally, it's about balance as well. And kind of taking care of my current roster and giving, like Alex said, giving everything I can to them in terms of making them better. And I feel like if I handle too many athletes, there will start to be a disconnect between all the athletes that I handle and coach. And I won't be able to kind of have a personal connection with kind of each of them. So I think in terms of my personal roster, probably like 30 to 35 would be the goal in the next 2 years. In the next 5 years, hopefully really start to solidify national champs, state champs from juniors and opens. That would be the goal,
Yeah. Like I'm glad you said how many people you want to work with, because there's fucking nothing wrong with that, with saying out loud how many people you work with or how many people you want to work with. Because I think at the end of the day, how many people you work with is only determined by the systems that you have in place, right? So you're obviously working, like we both are doing something else full time right now. And that means that you've got limited time devoted to what you can provide to your clients. And if that means that you only have 20 people, well, you're providing those 20 people some really good quality service.
You'd hope so, right?
Yeah, you'd hope so.
Yeah.
But the thing is like for us two, for example, like we're just solely coaches, or Raz as well. And like we probably would be able to handle more people in that sense. So I guess when you eventually become full time, are you only going 30, 35 because you're going to really provide a good product?
Personally, I think so. Yeah, because personally, if I imagine myself pushing past 40, I wouldn't be able to kind of give my best to all of those athletes. Like I'd start kind of feeling a disconnect, like I mentioned, because right now 20 is really good. Like I feel like I have a personal connection with all of my athletes, and I can kind of, I wouldn't say remember, because as a job, like you should be able to remember all your kind of athletes' programmings. But past 40, I feel like it'll get mentally taxing. And like again, you just lose that disconnect with your athletes.
No, good. Awesome. All right. Raz, did you want to say anything about... no? All right, well, we'll move on to our next segment. This is actually from Weekly Weights, and we only started today. Rest in peace. Alex Hayes says he's going to be firing it back up again.
Yeah, I heard. New podcast.
Yeah.
Shout out Alex
Apparently
Hayes.
they've got a studio at the new City Strength thing. But
I was just seeing that in 2019.
Yeah?
Keys.
That was, mate, so I was a postie back then, and I was getting...
I remember.
Bro, I was
Getting flogged by the magpies.
Flogged by the magpies, but I would listen to every single episode while I was doing my work.
I think it was one of my favorite podcasts from Australia.
Oh, yeah.
Easily.
And weekly, too. believe it or
Weekly
not.
weights.
Weekly weights.
Weekly weights.
That's
Yeah.
all right,
was
Benny.
Burke.
Do you want to kick us off with the first overrated, underrated, and properly rated?
Oh,
So
here we go. Hot takes.
Versace cologne.
Which one, mate? Eros.
Eros.
I hate Eros so much.
Tian hates Eros with a passion. He sold it.
Sounds like the Greek burrito.
Like, I wouldn't say I hate it.
A gyros.
Yeah.
Euros.
That's what it smells like.
It just smells like very, very sweet. It's like a club clubbing
Very clubby
fragrance.
fragrance. I don't think the fragrance itself is bad. It's more so like the association.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Man, you'd laugh at what I put on my body. Eh?
What do you wear?
Fuck, Lynx Africa.
Lynx
mate.
Africa.
Oh.
Guys,
You
feels
too?
I'm wearing it right now.
Yeah, boy. Let's go.
Oh.
All right. So
Definitely
what's
overrated.
Overrated.
100% overrated.
Raz, what do you reckon?
Overrated. Yeah.
I reckon it's probably better than what we're wearing.
I'm not a frag head like these two.
Frag
And
and
fraghead. That's mad.
All right.
Definitely overrated.
Next one, touch and go bench.
I would say properly rated. I think it has its time and place.
I reckon it's only good for people who can actually get a soft touch.
Yeah, that as well. And sometimes females.
Females.
Yeah, especially as a confidence booster. Really getting the heavier weight in their hands on a weekly basis is really good.
Or reps.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say underrated.
Yeah.
Yeah. For the people that bop it off their chest, like proper, like like breathe in, breathe out spec. That's probably like not the way to do the approach to touch and go. The soft touch and go is probably one of my favorite variations because one, like you mentioned, it builds a lot of confidence under the bar. But two, like I think, I just think it just builds a lot of confidence that you can just push anything.
Yep.
And sometimes with bench we can fiddle around with a lot of technique, but at the end of the day, you just have to push as hard as you can wherever you can. So I think it's underrated.
Yeah. Well, I think I can't really say underrated because I don't remember the last time I've put like just like heavy touch and goes in someone's program, but I think it's like properly rated. I have had touch and goes in my program before, and I really did enjoy it, but because you could just push. But like, yeah, I don't know if I enjoyed it because I could just push.
You're too good at bench now,
Yeah.
mate. You just get comp spec. Yeah.
Yeah, like, but no, I think it's properly rated. Like, it has its place. Like, yeah.
That's good. All right, next one.
Next one. Honda Integras.
Mate, this is a setup, bro. This is a setup.
Last question.
Properly rated, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Why-
love my
why-
Integra. It's
why-
my favorite car.
Why?
Obviously, because it's my car. I'm a bit biased. The silhouette is just classic. Like those JDM cars from the 90s to early 2000s. Like they don't make them like
No,
that
no.
anymore. Like
I'm a
all the
big fan
cars
of
look
it.
the
And
same.
they're just mechanical as well.
Yeah,
Like and
manual.
Yep.
Yeah.
But give us the spec list, mate. What have you done to it?
Right now, I spent quite a bit on it so far. I fixed pretty much everything externally. So full respray, fix all the dents and niggles and stuff like that. And that was quite a bit of money. Still have to put in the intake, which is later down the line.
What's the engine in the Integra R?
I think it's a K series, KZ01, 150 kilowatts stock.
Yep.
Might turbo it next year.
Hey.
We'll see. I would say popularly rated. Yeah.
Yeah. When the turbo's in, probably rated.
Stock, it's pretty quick, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Well,
goes
light-
it goes
light
alright.
wheel drive,
VTEC,
Fuck,
mate.
when any of us get in there, boys, we'll be a bit slower.
This
Nah.
guy.
What do you reckon, Raz? Properly rated?
I
Underrated?
reckon it's
Overrated?
properly rated.
Yeah?
I mean, in the midnight tune game, it was pretty good.
Yeah.
It was a pretty decent car. Not my favorite, but it was properly rated. The stats were alright.
The stats.
Yeah.
It's a front wheel drive.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Front wheel drive.
Alex, you have an opinion?
No, I don't have no opinion. I have no opinion.
He's got no clue.
I have no idea. I just
What
car do you
saw
got?
Tien's car. Kiss. I have a
car?
Kia Sorado, but it's a 2015 model.
What car, sorry?
What car?
Yeah.
What license?
No comment.
No comment.
Fucking hell.
We'll get in the fast five then, yeah?
Hashtag
Yeah,
busboy.
easy.
Alrighty. So
Fast
these are
five.
just like quick response answers from you guys. So first of all, if you were to train for a different sport, what would it be?
Oh, easy. BJJ.
Yeah, there you go.
Easily.
Is that why you started? Because you got injured back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I'm very competitive. Like,
yeah.
because I wasn't competitive in powerlifting, so
Yeah.
I kind of needed a different avenue
Yeah.
to kind of push myself in. That's why I started BJJ.
Is it starting to come a little more distant?
Well, I quit it recently.
Well, not really. You
Yeah, I stopped doing it.
flogged Ken the other
Yeah,
day.
yeah. I saw
Oh, nah, yeah. Nah, you can't do him dirty like that. Nah.
We're going to close it out with a bit of a...
No weight classes in the jungle. But yeah, like I find BJJ, like you can't get that adrenaline anywhere else legally, because you can't just walk up to a bloke and say, yeah, let's fight on the street, because you can go to jail for that. So I think any kind of combat sport is the only place that you can kind of get that excitement or adrenaline. Yeah, that's why I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, it would be basketball, but my genetics don't really allow that. I sort of peaked in year 6.
Yeah.
But it would be a combat sport. Yeah. I've been talking to Thien about wrestling. That sounds really fun. You know, just flipping people over their head and dunking them.
Have you did you see the Kyrie trade this morning?
Sorry.
The Kyrie trade this morning?
Did he get traded
Yeah.
to where, Lakers?
Mavs.
He got okay. He's a lost cause anyway.
He's a
so
lost
nice.
cause anyway. But then the Nets got Dinwiddie and Dory Smith and a 2029
some sort
first
of
round pick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nets won in that case.
Lakers still lost. That's a lost cause for LeBron, to be honest.
It is
but
actually.
Yeah, feel bad.
Righto.
Yeah, I think I would do BJJ as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In your own weight class, bud.
No, yeah, I did it. No, I did it for a while while I was lifting, but it's just the fatigue carry over to lifting's too much. But it was very fun.
What was that viral video that happened? I think it was like pre-COVID. Was it Cody and someone else?
Cody and Clinton, ZFC. We'll bring back ZFC.
Fucking hell. I remember watching that thing. These guys
Cody
were
and-
going at it.
Cody and Clinton fight.
They were
Yeah.
just fighting.
Well, back in the PCYC days, we would all just fight after our sessions with our
was
spars.
this the zoo?
Yeah, there was a zoo chat. Like how it all started was like it was something so silly. It was like Clinton was like, "Oh, I'll flog you," to Cody. "I'll put you in a wheelchair." This that. And then Cody was like, "Yeah, bet, let's do it then." And then we just set it up, started promoting it on Instagram,
Holy
and they
fuck.
actually just threw down. Yeah,
It-
slaps only. Yeah.
But like, it didn't happen just once, hey?
Now it was only once.
Oh, was it?
We only held one event. Yeah, 3 rounds.
Let's get it happen again. We got the headline power
Yes,
fest.
rematch.
Yeah.
We get it happen again.
You and who?
You were there. Stephen, no.
Allegations.
I'm not a part of this. Just making sure.
Oh my gosh.
Allegations.
Allegations, mate.
What is your guilty post gym feed?
Ooh, probably a zinger box.
Oh, mate.
I love a good zinger
every
box.
time.
Common answer, right?
I love a good
Everyone
zinger
loves
box. Yeah,
I
it's
fucking
easy.
hate how they changed the little wicked wings. They've changed it to the boneless
Brother.
No.
chicken strip. No, they have, but like you only get 2 of them.
No,
Yes.
you can still get wicked wings.
Yeah, if you pay like an extra $1.
Nah, the normal
Well,
zinger
all
box
the
is
same
still
home
wicked
table,
wings. Oh, here we go.
No, but the thing is, they did change it, and it's shit.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'll take you there after. It's shit.
I bet.
For me, it's probably chicken nuggets from Macca's.
Yeah,
That goes alright.
Yeah, mad.
Sweet and sour sauce.
Yeah, of course. You know.
Pack of 6 or 10.
Oh, what do you got? Mustard. Nah.
Yeah.
It's like aioli or sweet and
How
sour.
many nuggets are you
Yeah.
downing after training?
Depends. I could do the full 24. Yeah. But normally it's 6. You know, gotta stay in the weight class. You know, can't be dribbling over.
Well, I was gonna say zinger stacker box, but to be different, I say probably Marla after a Hurstville session.
Who's
So wellness, Marla tongue. It's like
They don't have it here.
I don't have it here. It's like it's like a spicy soup, Chinese food.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, like you pick your own meat and
Yeah.
pick your own ingredients. You put it in
It's like a hot pot.
hot
Yeah.
pot. Yeah,
but in a
Yeah.
single bowl.
Mate, we're that uncultured up here, eh?
yeah.
Like, I had my first red curry the other night from the Grateful Thai. Yeah. It sent me.
Brother.
Yeah, I had to leave it and
Man,
take it home in the doggy bag.
We went to Guzman the other day after rock climbing,
Oh,
and
fuck.
we're sat there like I love hot food, right? And Aiden's like, I'm like, oh, I don't know, Aiden brought it up or something, and then he goes, oh man, I hate hot food, but I always get it. And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, I don't enjoy it, but I'm like, yeah, this is all right. And I was like, brother,
It's weird. It's like I like feeling like I'm challenged when I'm eating something, and it's the taste. It's weird. It's the taste of it. But even though it sucks, like I don't know what it is. Like, I'll always get hot food. It's weird. It's addictive.
Your
And I don't know
competitive
why,
drive.
because I'm always fucking like hating it when I'm in it.
Yeah, all right. Next one is, what is your gamer tag?
Oh, gamer tag. Ironically, it's Dragon Slayer 95. Yeah,
Dragon Slayer 95.
because it's a meme, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why. Yeah, not seriously.
My gamer tag is Smegma. Okay.
Smack my what?
Smegma what?
What?
Smegma.
Oh, Smegma.
Yeah, I just named it that and it's been like that ever since.
Mhm.
Alex, come on. let
Oh,
me know.
no, my original gamer tag on Minecraft and Xbox was Mr. Mukau 01.
Mr. Moo Cow.
Yeah.
Mr. Mika.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Mad.
That's actually not too
Show
bad.
us what's the other one?
What are some nicknames you have for clients, co-workers? So for you two, what are your nicknames for each other? And Raz, what's your nickname for Beth? And what's her nickname for you?
Well, I don't really have nicknames for my athletes, but I have a nickname for him. Recent one is Bus Boy.
Bus Boy?
Yeah, Bus Boy.
Why
Can I
is that?
say why? Can I say why? Yeah, it's because he lost his license.
Oh,
Suspended.
That's why you got a car.
Yeah, suspended for 5 months.
What'd you do? Were you allowed to
What
say
did you do, mate? Go explain to the people.
Give the people what they want.
Do not condone using your mobile phone when driving.
Oh,
Mobile phone camera.
you were coaching on the road, weren't you?
It's because I'm a dedicated
I'm a fiend
coach.
for it. Keep going.
Yeah.
Double demerit.
We've got 11 minutes.
Yeah, double demerits. Do not recommend it. But yeah.
Oh, was it over a long weekend?
Yeah.
Fuck.
That's rough.
That
Actually, it
sucks.
was on my way to Central Coast, so on the way this way.
Oh, no. And yeah, the Central Coast coppers, they'll strip.
No, it was a camera,
Yeah.
but
Oh, was it?
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Every billboard, you gotta be careful.
Yeah.
Do you have a nickname for him?
Oh, nickname?
For me?
No, Thien.
That's a bit boring.
T.
T.
No, we don't really do nicknames like you guys do. You guys are
Yeah, I call him
crazy.
Gnome.
Gnome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Gnome,
we heard about
yeah.
Gnome
Gnome.
on the D-Shell podcast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
Where are you, Raz? Is Beth anything? Beth?
I call Beth boss. Because she likes to greet everyone with boss, and I greeted her with boss one
She
day.
hates it?
No, and I'm like, hello boss, and she's like, yeah, I am.
Oh.
Yeah, I just call her boss.
Fair.
But yeah, we don't really do nicknames.
You're just Raz.
I'm just Raz, yeah.
Easy. All right, last one. What are some unwritten rules with where you work? So between you two, do you guys have any rules? Actually, this
Like
is a better
your
one.
gyms, yeah.
Yeah, with wellness department, are there any unwritten rules?
Wellness department. Shout out to wellness department. Use code Fomin. Wellness department. So unwritten rules.
Like, for example, James Lee said that you have to shit with the door open at Omega.
Shit with the door. What the?
There's a video of him going around
Actually?
shit with the door open.
Really?
He's not wearing anything.
He's right there.
Is he down there, is he?
He's right there.
He's starting training right now.
Oh, he is, too.
Get out.
Well, the interesting thing about wellness department is that it's a powerlifting zone, but they have commercial gym users there as well. So I think, well, no one really puts their weights away like the commercial gym users.
Right.
So all the powerlifting boys and girls, whenever someone doesn't put their weights away, a commercial gym person, you go
flame
go
them.
find them. Yeah. So like last time, went up to level 1, went and found the guys who didn't put their weights away and told them off. So I think that's the unspoken
Holy
rule
fuck.
is tell the commercial gym people off for not putting their weights away.
Hey,
That's
Yeah.
insane.
Plate police.
Yeah.
That's mad.
It sucks. Like they leave like 2 plates
Do
on
they
the
get
bench.
scared when Big Alex Fomin walks over to him?
I think last time I was like hyped up on pre-workout.
Oh, no.
No, but it's pathetic. Put your weights away.
That's good.
Yeah. What about you?
Any unwritten rules of breakthrough?
Is there any unwritten rules at breakthrough?
Deadlift on the rubber because it's too bouncy on the platforms.
No, they're alright now, eh?
Yeah?
Yeah, we got them changed and they go alright.
Yeah.
There's no unwritten rules now, but they're now written.
Yeah.
But you can't train with your shirt off anymore.
I
Apparently.
saw that.
Yeah,
No
it
shoes.
has to be like under 30, or over 35 degrees or something.
Yep.
But yeah, apparently. But that's fine. But I don't think there's anything unwritten, is there?
I think unwritten rule at BT is like everyone supports you like
Mm.
during
Oh,
your
yeah.
top sets,
Yeah.
not really walking in front of anyone's camera,
Mm.
Oh yeah.
which is another big one. Yeah.
Also, like if you're doing like a top set, the person spotting you has to shout how many reps you're doing, and then we also call receptionists from the point where we're spotting. So from across the gym, we'll call out Macy, shout out to Macy, and we'll say how many reps we're doing, and then she'll point 5 for doing 5.
Because you're facing that way while you're squatting.
Yeah, and then that's just the way it is.
That's sick. That's good.
Yeah, we get around it. Not as crazy as you guys, but
Oh yeah, we do some.
You guys pop
wild
off.
shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shirts off, shoes off,
Yeah.
pants off,
everything off.
everything off, mate. Gorilla time
It's a
post
zoo,
7:30
yeah.
p.m. Yeah, rules out the door. Nah, cool. All right, we'll wrap things up. We just went for like about an hour, so that's probably one of the longest face-to-face potties we've had in a while.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
broke a record.
PR.
That's it, yeah.
PR.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, want to just say thank you for obviously you guys coming down for this. Obviously, we've been trying to organise it for a while, and we were going to do it one weekend or another weekend, but finally got it done. So appreciate you guys taking the trip down here, and always love having you boys come all the way up.
It's been a pleasure, man. Thank you for having us.
Fuck yeah. No, cool. All right, we'll wrap things up there. Don't forget to use SHA-10.
SHA-10.
At
Drop
checkout.
Bear Coffee,
Drop
mate.
Bear Coffee.
Best coffee in the Hunter region, yeah?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, you get 10% off and obviously free delivery over $50.
Free delivery?
Yeah,
Oh.
mate, over $50. We'll sort you out.
Yeah, that's
Anywhere in the country, conveniently enough, 2 1 kilo bags is $60 or $55 if you use our code. But thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll speak to you guys next week. Peace out. Well done, boys. You fucking killed it.
Very good.
That was good.